Today in reading, we aren't going to read a new fairy tale together as a read aloud, but you are going to read a fairy tale on your own and then answer a couple questions about that fairy tale. The fairy tale I gave you is Snow White. You might be pretty familiar with this fairy tale, but if you're not, that's okay. I gave you a copy of the fairy tale for you to read on your own. Now, I want you to pause the video and read the fairy tale 3 times to yourself. Of course, I want you to read it 3 times so you don't miss any details and you get really familiar with the fairy tale so you can answer all of your questions correctly. So go ahead and pause it and read, and when you're done reading, unpause it and we will go through the questions together. All right, now that you've read your fairy tale, we're going to go through the questions. Of course, I'm not going to answer the questions for you. I want you to answer the questions on your own. And of course, just like in class, I want you to go back and find the answers in your text. I want to see your text evidence. So if you have a highlighter, go ahead and get it so you can highlight your answers, or you can use a crayon or a colored pencil, or you can even underline the answers with a regular pencil if you don't have those other things. The first 4 questions are true-false questions. If it is a true statement about the fairy tale, I want you to put a T. If it's not true, I want you to put an F for false. Number 1, Snow White looks in the mirror. Number 2, the mirror says Snow White is the fairest. Number 3, the apple made Snow White fall asleep. And number 4, the queen travels to the woods. Number 5, how does this story end? A, Snow White eats the apple. B, Snow White and the prince get married. C, Snow White fell asleep. D, the queen looks in the mirror. Number 6, why did the queen send the hunter? A, to kiss Snow White. B, to lead her to the woods. C, to give her the apple. D, to look in the mirror. Number 7, which details prove that this text is fantasy? Now notice it says details, plural, so you can choose more than one. If the detail proves that it is fantasy, I want you to check it. A talking mirror, an angry queen, a magic apple, a dark forest. And the last one, read the sentence below. The mirror gazed back at her and said, Snow White is the fairest. The queen glared at the mirror and then stormed out of the room. Now, after reading that, how do we know the queen is feeling? So there were definitely some clues, some actions that she did that told us how she was feeling. So I want you to complete the sentence. She felt blank. And then tell me how you know. Tell me what clues in that sentence tell you she is feeling that way. She felt blank because, and then tell me the details from the sentence that let me know she's feeling that way.